This is not just a message. This is not just something you found while scrolling late at night, searching for something you couldn't name. This is not noise. This is a moment, a divine interruption, a pause between what was and what is about to begin. You didn't land here by accident. You were guided, drawn by something older than your confusion and wiser than your fear. Your spirit led you here, and now something in you knows this matters. You've been living in a quiet war, fighting battles no one could see, holding it all together while everything inside you begged to fall apart. You kept moving when stopping made more sense. You smiled when your heart was tired of pretending. You showed up, not because it was easy, but because giving up felt even heavier. And that kind of endurance, that kind of invisible strength, it's sacred. But hear me, the chapter that required it is over. The page is turning, not symbolically, not someday, now. And no, not because everything outside of you suddenly changed, but because you did. You're not the same person who entered the storm. You're not the same soul who prayed from the bottom of a pit. You are different. Not in damage, but in depth. You've been refined. You've been recalibrated. You've been rewired to carry peace, not pressure. And that is why you're feeling the tremble, the inner shift. It's not anxiety, it's not delusion, it's awakening. The ache you carry isn't evidence that something is wrong. It's a sign that you're outgrowing what was only meant to be temporary. The silence you sat in, it wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. God wasn't ignoring you, He was insulating you, shielding what He was forming in you from noise, opinion, distraction, and imitation. Sacred things don't grow in chaos, they bloom in stillness. And your stillness wasn't wasted. You may have felt invisible, you may have been overlooked, but you were never forgotten. You were planted, and now you're beginning to break through the surface. Not in show, but in strength. The glow returning to your eyes. That's not decoration. It's resurrection. You thought the fire came to burn you, but it burned away your fear, your approval addiction, your need to explain yourself to people who never had the capacity to understand you. And what's left is the truth. You, raw, real, rising. You don't need permission to move forward. You don't need a sign to start becoming. You are the sign. If these words feel familiar, it's because your soul already knew them. This is just the reminder, and if you're feeling it, even the faintest spark, pause now and type "I'm ready" in the comments. Yes, right now, not for the sake of routine, but because declaring matters, witnessing your own becoming matters. Mark this moment as the one where you no longer carried the old version of yourself into the new day. Because that version, the one who fought to survive, who adapted to trauma just to breathe, she can rest now. You're not in survival anymore. You're stepping into splendor. But splendor doesn't arrive like lightning. It unfolds like dawn, quiet, consistent, undeniable. And this is your dawn. You don't need to fight anymore. Not for space, not for love, not for answers. What's yours is being aligned, not assigned by others. You won't have to chase it, you'll rise into it. This is not about hustle, this is not about fixing, this is about flow. The energy that once pushed you from place to place, always looking, always questioning, that energy is leaving. In its place is rest, not laziness, sacred rest, the kind that builds, the kind that listens, the kind that recognizes that you are not the problem, you are the promise. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are not behind. You are right on time, because divine timing is not measured by clocks, it's measured by readiness, and you right now are ready. Even if your hands are still shaking, even if your voice still trembles, even if a part of you still doubts, you're ready, not for perfection, but for peace, not for performance, but for presence. This chapter doesn't ask you to prove, it asks you to be, and if this speaks to you, don't scroll away quietly. Let this moment be a threshold. Subscribe. If you know your soul needs more moments like this, because this isn't just a message, it's movement. And you weren't meant to rise alone. We walk this out together, and in doing so, we rise faster, deeper, steadier. You've survived so much. But now you get to live. You get to breathe without waiting for the crash. You get to speak without fear of being misunderstood. You get to rest, not because the work is done, but because the war within you is over. You'll feel the difference in the mornings. You'll feel it in your spine, in your exhale, in the way you stop rushing, in the way you smile without trying. This is what alignment feels like. It doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you're no longer ruled by fear. You respond from faith now. You expect goodness. You receive with gratitude, not guilt. Let this be the chapter where your identity isn't wrapped in effort, but in essence. You are not what happened to you. You are who you became despite it, and you became light, not because life was easy, but because you refused to let it harden you. This is sacred ground now, not because it's untouched, but because you've walked it. You've sanctified it with every prayer, every tear, every breath you didn't give up on. So walk forward. Not because it's loud, not because it makes sense, but because something in you finally feels safe enough to move again. You don't need a spotlight. Your glow is enough. You don't need applause. Peace is its own affirmation. You don't need permission. You were created for this. Let this be the last time you doubt what's already yours. Let this be the moment where you stop rehearsing rejection and start rehearsing radiance. You've held the weight long enough. Now let it go. Release it. Not because it wasn't real, but because it no longer belongs here. This is the beginning. This is your time. This is your becoming. And it starts now. There are seasons that don't begin with fanfare. No clear start, no dramatic shift, just a slow, steady unraveling. And before you know it, you're there. In the middle of a wilderness you never asked to walk through. A place where the air feels thick, where clarity becomes a luxury, where silence lingers too long. Where it feels like everything is standing still. Accept your suffering. You didn't mean to get here. You just kept surviving, kept enduring, kept moving because stopping felt more dangerous than pushing through. And yet, here's the sacred truth you were never told. You weren't lost. You were led not into punishment but into purpose, led not into failure but into formation, led not away from destiny but deeper into it. The wilderness wasn't a detour, it was design. You were not forgotten in that silence, you were being formed in it. Every dry place, every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every delay that made you question your worth. It wasn't wasted, not a second of it. You thought you were being buried, but you were being rooted. Buried things die, rooted things rise. And you, even in your confusion, were rising all along. It didn't feel like growth. It felt like grief. It didn't feel like preparation. It felt like punishment. But heaven doesn't always feel like heaven at first. Sometimes it feels like everything falling apart, so something immovable can be built inside of you. You were learning to breathe through disappointment, to walk through unanswered seasons, to worship with wounds still open, to believe without proof, without applause, without signs. That kind of belief, it doesn't vanish. It becomes who you are. You weren't stuck, you were stationed, like a seed beneath the soil, breaking just enough to break through. You see, what the wilderness gave you, no mountaintop ever could. It taught you how to hear whispers in the silence. It showed you how to stay when escape would have been easier. It exposed who was truly for you and who was only for your access. It stripped away everything that was false, and it gave birth to a version of you that doesn't flinch at fear anymore. Because fear no longer owns your atmosphere. It visited, sure, but it didn't take root because you were already spoken for. You are not just walking out of the wilderness. You're walking out with evidence of growth, of grit, of grace. And that evidence doesn't need to be explained, it will speak for itself. The way you speak softer now, not because you're timid, but because you're grounded. The way your eyes carry weight, not heaviness, but depth. Depth earned in the places no one else saw. There were prayers you whispered on the floor, tears you wiped with trembling hands, questions you never got answers to, and still you stayed. That was your offering, not your strength, not your performance, not your perfection, your endurance. And God received it all, every cry, every why, every silent scream in the dark. And though the reply didn't come as thunder, though the miracle didn't arrive on your schedule, heaven was never unaware. It was building, slowly, patiently, powerfully. And now the veil is lifting, the delay is ending. The old soil has done its job. You were hidden for a reason. You weren't ready for exposure because your root system was still under construction. But now you're ready to rise. You don't have to strive for attention. You carry authority now, not the kind that demands to be heard, the kind that shifts the atmosphere just by being present. And no, not everyone will understand this version of you. Some people only knew the version shaped by pain. They were comfortable with your survival, but your splendor makes them nervous. Let them go. You don't owe your new season to those tied to your old one. You don't owe your light to those who only saw your shadows. This isn't arrogance, it's reverence. For what you've walked through, for what you've become, for what God is about to do through you. You are no longer asking small questions like, why me? Now you ask, why not me? Why wouldn't heaven trust you with this calling? Why wouldn't your voice carry restoration? Why wouldn't your life be evidence that the wilderness had a purpose? This next chapter will not resemble the last, because you don't resemble who you were in it. You were forged in fire. Now you walk in flame. You no longer react from fear. You respond from wholeness. And the clarity you're stepping into, it won't be confusing. It'll be calming, like breath after drowning, like peace after chaos, like truth after trauma. You'll know it's real, not because everyone claps, but because you don't feel like hiding anymore. You're safe now, not just around you, within you. And if this resonates, if something in your soul knows this is your turning point, type "it wasn't wasted" in the comments. Let it be your declaration. Let it be your marker. Not for anyone else, for you. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't have to be busy to be fruitful. You don't have to perform to be chosen. You already are. You've already been appointed, not because you never doubted, but because you kept going despite the doubt. That kind of faith, it's not a concept, it's a calling, and you've answered it, not in public stages, but in private valleys. The wilderness didn't defeat you, it revealed you, and what it revealed can no longer be denied. This is your moment, not just to move on, but to move up, to step into what your spirit has been prepared for, to stop shrinking into safety and start expanding into significance. You didn't survive all that to return to smallness. You didn't weep in the dark just to blend in once the light returned. You didn't hold on just to settle. You are not a remnant, you are a rebirth. So walk accordingly. There is nothing missing in you. There is only glory waiting to be recognized. This is where the wilderness ends and wonder begins. And no, not because the pain never happened, but because it no longer defines you. There's a version of you that walked through fire, the one who swallowed pain without answers, who made survival look graceful, who held together broken dreams with silent prayer and shaking hands. That version, she was never weak. She was brave, but she was never meant to stay forever. There comes a moment, quiet, holy, undeniable, when the Spirit says, "That's enough now. Enough carrying the past as identity. Enough shrinking so others stay comfortable. Enough blending in so you don't disturb what's dying around you. Enough pretending that power equals performance. You are not who you were in the valley. You are not who you were when the silence felt like punishment. You are not who you were when you believed love had to be earned. That version of you was necessary, but not eternal. You see, the wilderness taught you how to hold on, but now you're learning how to let go. Let go of the voice that tells you you're too much. Let go of the ache that asks if you're enough. Let go of the echo that says you're behind. Let go of the need to prove your pain in order to justify your joy. You are not a collection of what you've endured. You are the result of what you've chosen to believe, even when nothing supported it. You don't have to carry the full history to claim your next chapter. You don't have to keep explaining your healing to those committed to your hurt. You don't have to dim what is divine in you so others don't call it too bright. You are not the past. You are the path forward. And the truth is, the people who miss the old version of you, they were only ever familiar with your wounds, not your wisdom. They liked the version of you that needed saving, not the one who became the savior of her own story. And that's okay. This new version of you doesn't need validation because alignment has replaced approval. Peace has replaced performance. Presence has replaced proving. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, let it. You were never sent to keep the room calm. You were sent to change its climate. You are not just healed. You are holy, not because of what you've earned, but because of what you've survived without losing your softness. Softness is not weakness. Sensitivity is not shame. Your gentleness, it is sacred evidence that the fire didn't burn away your humanity. It just refined your divinity. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your elevation. You don't need a panel of outside opinions to confirm what God already approved. And yes, it will be tempting to go back to overthinking, back to fitting in, back to the identity you built to keep others happy, but that version is gone, not buried, honored, but no longer required. She did her job. She brought you here. She protected you when you didn't have language for your pain. But now you have language. Now you have light. Now you have legacy. You are not your defense mechanisms. You are not your triggered silence. You are not your trauma timeline. You are more. And the version of you reading this right now, the one feeling the stirring in her gut, the tears behind her eyes, the one whispering, "I needed this," without even knowing why, she is ready. Ready not to fight, but to flow. Ready not to explain, but to embody. Ready not to rebuild the old, but to walk into what's never existed before. You're not fixing what was. You're becoming what always could have been if the world hadn't asked you to shrink. And this time, you're not asking for permission to show up. You're already here, and you're not hiding anymore. If this resonates with you, deeply, quietly, clearly, type, "I've returned to myself" in the comments. It's not just a phrase, it's a statement to your soul. I'm home now. You are the version of you that past you prayed would show up. You are the answer to the desperation. You are the arrival, not in someone else's timeline, but in your own sovereignty, and you don't need to convince anyone to see it. They'll feel it. In your silence, in your steadiness, in your unwillingness to settle for almost healed, half-loved, barely seen. That old version knew how to survive, but this version, she knows how to soar. She is not afraid to be misunderstood. She is not addicted to being liked. She is not driven by urgency. She is led by peace. She knows the value of her voice. She trusts the direction of her own steps. She honors her boundaries without guilt, and when she walks into a room, it feels different because now the room adjusts to her, and this isn't ego, it's embodiment of everything the wilderness taught, of every silent night that whispered, "Hold on," of every prayer that seemed unanswered but was building this. This is not new you, this is true you, the one beneath the roles, beneath the armor, beneath the years of over-explaining and overextending. And now that she's here, don't rush her. Don't quiet her. Don't shape her to fit old spaces. Let her rise, even if it's soft. Let her move, even if it's slow. Let her breathe, even if it scares the ones who benefited from her breathlessness, because you are not who you were. And that's not the tragedy, that's the testimony. You becoming was never the betrayal. It was the breakthrough. You were never meant to stay in the role of survivor. You are the architect of a new narrative, a sacred one, a bright one, a real one. So walk differently, speak differently, rest differently. You don't have to return to what tried to reduce you. You don't need to perform worthiness. You are the evidence that resurrection is real. You've been waiting for something to return. A person, a season, a feeling, a rhythm that once made sense, even if it wasn't perfect. You've replayed what was lost so many times that it's hard to imagine anything better. Because at least you knew what was. At least it was familiar. And now, you're in a space where you're being asked to expect something you've never seen before. And that's hard, because the heart craves symmetry. We want restoration to look like replacement. We want closure to come through explanation. We want the new thing to feel just like the old thing, but with less pain. But here's the sacred disruption. What's coming won't look like what you lost. And that's exactly what makes it holy. The loss wasn't pointless, but the recovery, it's not meant to be a replica. You see, some doors closed because they were never built for what you carry now. Some relationships ended because you outgrew the role they kept you in. Some dreams dissolved because they were too small for the kind of expansion God had in mind. And it's okay to grieve that. It's okay to miss what was, to look back on what could have been. But don't confuse the end of a chapter with the end of your story. Don't confuse the falling away with failure. Don't confuse transformation with abandonment, because even in the stripping, there was strategy. Even in the loss, there was leading. Even in the grief, there was grace. You are not being asked to pretend it didn't hurt. You are being asked to trust that what's ahead won't carry the same wounds. It won't just be better. It will be different. Different in weight, different in origin, different in how it feels to carry it. Because this time, it's not coming through striving. It's coming through alignment, not through manipulation, but through mercy, not by force, but by flow. You don't need to reconstruct what collapsed. You don't need to rebuild what already revealed its limits. You're not being restored to what was. You're being reborn into what never has been. Not in your life, not in your family line, not in your past pattern. You are walking into something original. And yes, that means you'll have to let go of the blueprint you've clung to. The idea that if it doesn't look like that one thing you lost, it must not be right. But who told you that restoration had to look like repetition? God doesn't recycle glory. He reveals it fresh. And if you're willing to loosen your grip on how you thought it would come, you'll be stunned by what arrives. Not familiar, but fulfilling, not predicted, but perfect. Because it won't just fill the empty space. It will awaken parts of you that never had language until now. This is a different kind of blessing. The kind that doesn't feel like adrenaline, but assurance. The kind that doesn't speed you up, but centers you. The kind that doesn't prove anything, but proves you were always worthy of it. You didn't lose anything that was meant to sustain your future. You lost what was designed to introduce you to it. And maybe the heartbreak wasn't about destruction. Maybe it was a divine interruption, so your hands could finally be empty enough to hold what actually fits. Let that settle. You're not being asked to love again the way you did before. You're being asked to love as someone who now knows the shape of her own soul. You're not being asked to rebuild that same dream. You're being asked to listen for a dream that's never been heard before. Because your new season has a new sound. It doesn't echo what was. It sings what's next. So breathe. Breathe in expectancy, not anxiety. Breathe in curiosity, not control. Breathe in, what if it works out, instead of, what if it breaks again? Because this time, you're not walking in desperation. You're walking in discernment. You're not hoping from scarcity. You're hoping from stability. And it feels different, because you are different. So let the old comparisons fall away. Let the expectations soften. Let your posture be one of welcome, not wariness. You've been bracing for impact for so long, you forgot what it's like to be met with gentleness. But it's coming, gentle, solid, true. It may not come with a loud arrival. It may not have fireworks or fanfare, but you'll know, because your nervous system won't have to contract around it. Your heart won't have to guess. Your body won't have to beg for peace. And if this word is stirring something in you, pause right now and comment, "I release what was, I receive what is." Not because it makes perfect sense, but because surrender is sometimes the only act of courage left to make room for joy. You're not waiting for a revival of the past. You're receiving the rising of something original. You are not returning to what broke you. You are being restored to who you were before the break. And what's coming? It won't ask you to compromise. It won't demand you shrink. It won't leave you guessing. What's coming will feel like home. Not because it mimics the old, but because it honors the healed version of you. So no, don't look back. Not because it was all bad, but because forward is where you belong now. Forward is where peace is. Forward is where your promise lives. Forward is where God is placing things you never thought you could have, because you stopped settling for less. Let this be the chapter where you no longer negotiate your intuition, where you no longer repackage your light to fit someone else's dim space, where you no longer fear things that don't feel like loss, because this time, what's coming won't be a test, it will be a treasure. There was a time when all you knew how to do was wait. Wait for clarity, wait for permission, wait for closure. Wait for the world to finally agree with what your soul already knew, that you were ready, that you were enough, that you belonged. You've sat in silence, thinking waiting was wisdom. You've held your tongue, mistaking it for strength. You've shrunk your desires, assuming that stillness meant surrender. But hear me clearly, you're not waiting anymore, because this season is not about proving you're ready. It's about accepting that you already are. You're not at the edge of something, you're in it. You're not praying for a new beginning. You're walking in it. You're not hoping for doors to open, they already have. The only question now is, will you walk through them with full presence, or will you keep pretending you still need permission? Waiting is no longer your position. Receiving is your posture now, and receiving doesn't mean doing less. It means resisting the urge to do what's not yours. It means no longer trying to control every variable just to feel safe, because you're already held. You're already covered. You're already equipped, and everything you've been asking for, it's not waiting on you to be perfect. It's waiting on you to agree with who you already are. You've been positioned. You've been preserved. And now, you're being presented. Not presented for show. Not as a product of hustle or performance, but as a vessel that's been filled in private and is now overflowing in peace. This isn't about chasing down opportunities. It's about recognizing what's already in your hand. This isn't about begging for access. It's about realizing you've always been the doorway. So take a breath, a deep one, the kind that unclenches the fear around your ribs. Because this is the space you've been preparing for, even when you didn't know you were being prepared. The waiting season wasn't wasted, but it's over. And no, not because time finally passed, but because you've finally caught up with yourself. You're no longer hoping someone else will unlock the future. You've become the key. Now is the moment to shift from striving to standing. Not standing still, but standing firm, rooted, aligned, open to joy without guilt, open to peace without apology, open to lightness without suspicion, because here's the truth, most don't speak. You can be whole now, even if the world isn't, even if some things aren't fixed, even if there are still questions. Wholeness is not the absence of chaos, it's the presence of clarity inside you. You don't need every detail mapped out. You need trust. You don't need every outcome predicted. You need presence. You're not waiting for your turn anymore. It's already yours. If this is stirring something inside you, even if it's quiet, pause and type in the comments, "I'm ready to receive." Not to prove it, not to earn it, but to agree with it. This is not manifestation hype. This is spiritual truth. The God that walked with you in the dark is now placing you in the open. Not to show off your scars, but to reveal your substance. Because what you've become in private, it's undeniable now. It's unhideable. It's magnetic. And receiving means finally seeing yourself as deserving of what's arriving. No more downplaying. No more qualifying your worth. No more disclaimers before you shine. You are ready to hold this joy. You are ready to carry this calling. You are ready to embody this healing, and no, it's not too late. You are right on divine time. This version of you, the present, aware, softened yet solid version, she doesn't need to rehearse pain to justify peace. She just needs to stay open. Because what's arriving now won't knock loud. It will feel like alignment, like calm, like resonance. You'll recognize it because it won't activate your old alarms. It won't require your old armor. It won't trigger your old defense systems. It will feel safe, and safety doesn't mean nothing will ever hurt again. It means you trust yourself to stay grounded through anything. That's what receiving really is. Trust. Trust that what's meant for you doesn't require constant tension. Trust that letting it be easy is not laziness, it's obedience. Trust that you can receive without guilt. You've carried heaviness long enough. It's time to hold lightness, not as a reward, but as a right. This is your harvest, and you don't harvest by hustling. You harvest by gathering, by showing up with empty arms and letting the blessing fill them as they are. You don't need to negotiate for goodness. You don't need to manage the miracle. You just need to say yes. Yes to joy. Yes to stability. Yes to softness. Yes to peace that doesn't ask you to perform. You are not missing it. You're stepping into it right now, right here, exactly as you are. And when you do, you'll stop seeing time as your enemy. You'll stop measuring yourself by timelines that were never yours. You'll stop postponing joy for when you're done healing, because the truth is, healing and receiving aren't opposite seasons. They walk hand in hand. You can be still becoming and still be blessed. You can still be learning and still be loved. You can still be unsure and still be completely chosen. This is not the moment to brace for disappointment. It's the moment to finally expect peace. You've waited long enough. Now, you receive. You've spent so much of your life scanning the horizon, searching the sky, watching the clock, waiting for a sign. Something, anything, to tell you that the breakthrough was near, that the pain had purpose, that you weren't wasting your hope, that your prayers weren't just vanishing into thin air. You kept looking for flashes in the sky, a voice in the silence, a shift in the wind. You kept asking, God, just show me something. Give me a clue. Let me know I'm not crazy to still believe. But what you didn't realize is, you became the very sign you were searching for. You're not the same person who whispered those desperate prayers. You're not the same soul who questioned her own value just because the timing didn't align. You've changed. Not by force, but by fire, by staying, by choosing softness when hardness would have been easier, by loving yourself in moments that didn't feel lovable. And now, your very presence is evidence. You're not waiting to be lit from the outside. You've become the light source. You don't chase signs anymore. You carry them in how you rise, in how you speak, in how you walk into rooms and bring calm without saying a word. Because people don't always remember what you said, but they'll never forget how your presence made them feel. And now, you carry that presence, not manufactured, not performed, embodied. There was a time you begged God for a miracle. You wanted thunder, lightning, something dramatic. You thought a sign meant something grand, unmistakable out there. But the miracle was never meant to be external. It was you. The moment you decided to get back up after collapsing. The morning you opened your eyes and chose peace over panic. The hour you forgave someone who never apologized. The day you stopped needing applause to trust your own growth. That was the sign, and it's been glowing in you ever since. You are no longer the seeker only. You are now the signal for someone else watching you from afar. You are the confirmation they didn't know they were waiting for. You're the proof that someone can go through unspeakable grief and still laugh without guilt. You're the proof that healing doesn't mean perfection. It means permission to feel joy again. You're the proof that trauma doesn't get the last word. Truth does. You didn't make it through for no reason. You didn't overcome just to blend in. You weren't refined by fire just to pretend nothing happened. You made it, and that matters. Let that land for a second. Let it echo. You made it. You. With your heart wide open and your hands shaking. You who thought you'd never feel safe again. You who thought the night would never end. The fact that you are here, reading this, breathing, still rising, is more prophetic than any vision or dream. You are the sign, not because everything is perfect, but because you didn't quit when it wasn't. Because you walked through the fire and came out not bitter but brighter. You are the sign of what grace looks like, of what it means to grow when no one is watching, of what it means to forgive without an apology, of what it means to breathe again after drowning in doubt. So stop waiting for someone else to declare what God already confirmed. You've been validated, not by popularity, but by perseverance. You've been chosen, not by committee, but by calling. You've been appointed, not by opportunity, but by alignment. This isn't a coincidence. This is the unfolding of timing that's been sacred all along. And yes, there are still places in you healing. Yes, there are still moments of uncertainty, but none of that disqualifies the light you carry. If anything, it magnifies it. Because people don't need a perfect sign, they need a real one, and that's what you are. Say it with me, or type it in the comments now. I am the sign. Let it echo, let it settle, let it shake loose the lie that you're not enough. Let it silence the voice that says you need more proof. You're not waiting for a platform. You are the ground others will stand on to rise. You're not waiting for a revival. You are one. And yes, some people won't understand it. They only knew the version of you that was shrinking, that apologized for existing, that dimmed herself to survive the room. But that version is resting now. She did her job. She protected you. But this one, this version, she shines. She walks with quiet certainty. She speaks with grounded clarity. She moves with grace that doesn't need to explain itself. She knows she's not here to be liked. She's here to be light. Don't hold back now. This isn't the moment to disappear. This is the moment to expand. Your healing didn't just restore you, it created ripples. Your breakthrough isn't just personal, it's generational. There are people whose lives will shift because you didn't settle. There are hearts that will soften because you chose tenderness over bitterness. There are rooms that will become sacred because your peace entered first. You are not hype. You are holy. You are not a phase. You are fulfillment. You are not a moment. You are movement. And movement doesn't apologize for shifting things. It doesn't ask for permission to ripple outward. It just happens, and it changes everything it touches. That's you now. Change in motion, light, embodied, legacy, alive. And if the world is still noisy, if people still doubt you, if the storm outside hasn't fully passed, you still don't shrink, because you're no longer trying to survive the storm. You've become the calm inside it. That's what makes you unshakable. That's why you glow differently. That's why peace is your baseline now, not panic. And when they ask you how you got through, how you stayed soft in a world that tried to harden you, you'll say, I didn't become the sign by escaping the pain. I became it by letting grace grow in the middle of it. So here it is again, loud, clear, undeniable. You are the sign, the evidence, the echo, the answer. You are what hope looks like when it's walked through fire and come out radiant. You are what divine timing looks like when it breathes through a human life. You are the reminder, the reassurance, the rise, and this world is better because you didn't give up before this moment arrived. So breathe, take it in, stand in it, because you've waited long enough to wonder. And now, you know. You've been watching, waiting, asking God for something clear, something loud, something undeniable that would tell you, yes, you're seen, yes, it's time. But the truth is, You don't need the sky to crack open. You don't need handwriting on a wall. Because the evidence, it's already walking. And it looks like you are the sign. The proof that healing is real, that grace can live in a body that's been broken and still shine. You're not spotless, but you're sacred. Not because you got it all right, but because you didn't give up. Even when it all went wrong, you kept breathing, you stayed soft, you loved again. And now every step you take carries a message. Hope still lives here. Light still wins here. God still speaks through people. Like you don't need to chase the sign anymore. You've become it, and others, they're watching you and remembering that they're not too far gone either. So don't shrink, don't wait, don't downplay what's glowing in you. Say it, type it, claim it. I am the sign. Let that declaration be your shift. Let it echo through your life, because the world needs less noise and more proof, and you are that proof.